In these thrilling and difficult episodes, the superheroic and warrior-like qualities of Tony Beets, a gold miner, and the Winchester crew, who are able to survive the challenge of recovering their most recent machinery, are brought to the forefront. In the event that their excavator stops functioning owing to chain problems, what strategies will Winchester crew employ to deal with the situation? As a result of this circumstance, how will they get the end that they want? Let's join Tony Beets and the Winchester crew in their pursuit of gold and dive headfirst into the extremely fascinating endeavors that they are involved in. During his search for gold in Paradise Hill, Yukon, Tony Beets jumps headfirst into his objective. Tony Beets is making progress in the correct direction to achieve his goal of digging 5,000 ounces of gold, utilizing the sophisticated technology that is operating to effectively carry out his objective. He is in the process of maintaining his previous record. The most significant obstacle that he must overcome in his endeavor is the weather conditions, which have the potential to produce a significant disruption in his path. Even though it is the middle of September, the persistent rain is making the situation more stressful for the leader of the Klondike. This is because the rain is slowing down the machinery. In light of the fact that he is only 900 ounces away from achieving his objective, he is all set to dig the 80 pup cut, which has a great deal of potential to uncover a substantial quantity of gold. The rain is making things tough for them because it is filling the pond with water, but he is so excited to see the mounds of gold that are in the 80 pup cut. They were confronted with the same difficulty 12 weeks earlier, which led to the entire suspension of their operation. At that time, the ponds were flooded with water, and they had to construct them once more. This time, the same weather scenario puts a significant amount of pressure on his nerves, and he instructs Mike, one of his crew members, to take the 220 excavator to the dike by the pump area in order to fix things up and to prevent the dreadful repercussions of the water falling down in the ponds and disrupting their activities. The excavator 220 that Mike is operating is making its way through the sticky mud on its way to the dike. In spite of the rain that is getting heavier, he is hoping to reach the dike as quickly as possible. The excavator gradually slows down as a result of the muddy ground, which prevents it from progressing any further than it already has. In an instant, the excavator comes to a complete halt and starts to sink steadily. When he sees the excavator sunk down there, he appears to be somewhat dissatisfied. At this time, Tony arrives at the location and expresses his desire to retrieve the submerged excavator. He immediately ceases all of his mining activities because he is unable to continue with the mining endeavors without the excavator, and he cannot allow his machine to continue in this manner. It was initially their intention to pull the sinking excavator out of the water with the assistance of 2 additional excavators. However, this endeavor has not produced any results at all. They need to broaden the scope of their struggles in order to bring heavy gear to a state where it can function properly. As soon as Tony comes up with a strategy to bring the excavator through the door, they are prepared to put it into action without delay. He divulges his strategy to bring in further reinforcements. It is his intention to bring the 18-ton D6 dozer, as well as the enormous 115-ton D11 dozer. In order to construct a sturdy foundation for the excavator, he intends to first remove the water from the area surrounding the submerged excavator, and then, with the assistance of a D6 dozer, force the coarse tailing into the hole. Last but not least, the colossal D11, which is a monster with 850 horsepower, will bring out the excavator while it is on the sturdy reinforced ramp. Within the plan, they discover a glimmer of optimism. In spite of the fact that the idea appears to be fantastic, it turns out to be quite challenging to implement due to the enormous amount of dirty water. Tony assumes control of the D6 dozer and starts the process of removing the water from the area. As it should have been, it starts to demonstrate the progress that has been made. On the other side, Mike begins to add coarse tailing to the pit, and it proves to be really beneficial for them. Even if the severe rain in Paradise Hill slows down the process of gold hunting, Tony is still optimistic that he will be able to harvest more gold out of the 80 pup cut because it has proven to be quite fertile in terms of producing gold. Tony and his family are currently seated at the dinner table, which is located in their regular location. He laughs at Mike's suggestion that he should be held accountable for allowing their excavator to become submerged in the muck because he has been driving the excavator without paying attention to the directions. It appears that he is pleased to be able to release the tension in a span of 2 to 3 hours. Despite the fact that Tony claims that the success is the result of his engineering and wisdom, Mike says that it is relatively simple to retrieve the excavator. Tony laughs as he makes this assertion. In the meantime, Mike is weighing the gold that he has acquired by pouring it into the tray. Tony requires 300 ounces of gold in order to maintain the functioning of their family's system. As soon as Mike starts pouring gold out of the jar, the entire family immediately focuses their attention on the scale, and they start reading it out loud. Almost immediately, the readout goes beyond 300 and to 500 ounces, which is significantly higher than what they had anticipated. The entire amount of gold that they acquire is 4,601 ounces, and they receive 500 ounces of gold that is worth $850,000. As a result of their excursion that took place in extremely severe weather conditions, they consider it to be exceptional. Jason Fraser, another mining boss, has arrived to Tony Beets' Hunker Cut along with his Winchester crew. This is occurring on the opposite side of the fence. They have been in Yukon for the first time, and they are getting close to the end of their first season there. After the toil associated with a lengthy summer season, they are so eager to get back to their homes. Therefore, in order for them to continue living freely, all that is required of them is 200 ounces of gold to pay their landlords. They are optimistic that they will achieve their ultimate outcome, which is to acquire approximately 200 ounces of gold. Tony gives his blessing to the proposal because he will profit 30% from it. As of right now, they have already reached 106 ounces, and the entire cut has been thoroughly investigated. The truck that John Van Tuyl is driving to the Winchester is equipped with a double-barrel wash plant that he has constructed at his home. He is holding the steering wheel. Over the course of the season, it has been functioning fairly well, and he is still holding out hope that it will continue to function in the same manner. As the third member of their skeleton crew, Butch, who was formerly employed as a logger, goes through the process of becoming an excavator operator. He goes from being a novice to being deeply appreciative. In the midst of his announcement that he is on the final thread of 10,000 yards, the excavator suddenly hits a setback. In the course of its operation, the chain of the excavator breaks. Following his descent from the excavator, he makes a beeline for Jason in order to convey the news that the trammel has ceased functioning. Upon Jason's arrival, they investigate the situation and discover that the chain that is dangling down the excavator is the cause of the machine's inability to function properly. They discover that the chain has been severed from the master link, which is responsible for holding the entire chain together. If the master link has become inoperable, the Winchester weapon system will be unable to spin its twin-barrel wash system. They have arrived at the conclusion that in order to avoid any delays in their work, they need to locate an additional master link to the chain. They search through a large bag of links and correctly identify the one that can be of assistance in the event that it is needed. However, John instructs Butch to attach the master link that is broken. He requests that he activate the TRL by turning the black button on the opposite side of the device to the opposite position. Subsequently, he requests that he let it go slowly while holding it. After that, he instructs him to move his hand slightly, since he does not want to cause his hand to get more compressed. Immediately after he raises his hand, the chain is unable to reach its wheel and they are forced to halt it for a period of time. They give it another go in an effort to recreate the procedure, and this time, they are able to make some further headway. During this time, Jason arrives at the location with the master link and climbs up the ladder in order to execute an assault on the chain. Finally, the Winchester crew succeeds in continuing their mining operation after the hard 2 hours of labor with the chain. They have a limited amount of time to meet their objective of 200 ounces, which is still 94 ounces short. Winter is just about to set in, and they have that time as a premium. When it comes to machinery, Jason laughs at the fact that they, like people, do not enjoy working during the winter months. Having returned to Tony's residence, he is currently seated alongside his woman. They have positioned themselves in anticipation of the Winchester crew, who are just about to arrive after cleaning the final patch. While he is thrilled, he is also hopeful that the Winchester crew will be able to accomplish what they have set out to do. During this time, the Winchester crew arrives at the location, and Tony inquires about the malfunction of the equipment that is causing them difficulties in their endeavor. Jason starts to pour the gold from a box onto the weighing scale, and they start reading it out loud at around the same time. They appear to be quite ecstatic and content with the discovery of 101 ounces of gold, which is beyond their expectations. This is because they have finally accomplished their objective, which is to acquire gold worth $350,000. Tony extends his most heartfelt congratulations to them on the successful conclusion of their first season at Yukon and extends an invitation to return to the location. It is a happy conclusion for Tony and the Winchester crew because their trips end up accomplishing their goal in a remarkable manner, despite the fact that they encountered a lot of challenges along the way and squandered a lot of time. Mike Beets, a gold mining expert, made a disastrous mistake when he gambled with his $300,000 wash plant, causing the heavy machinery to be destroyed. Tony, who was unhappy with Mike's second error of the season, sent Kevin to oversee the fleet of excavators, dozers, and rock trucks. Kevin was crucial in maintaining the functionality of the aging trommel. A damaged rubber and metal skirt directed pay onto the conveyor beneath the hopper, causing gold-rich earth to spill and accumulate beneath the belt. Kevin had to take the skirt off and make a new one from scratch to resume gold recovery. Kevin put in overtime to restart the wash plant, but another problem appeared, this time due to a failure of the wedges. Mike, having experienced the difficulties of running a business without a license and the possibility of losses, enjoyed lending a hand whenever possible. However, the tragedy hit when Mike was unharmed. The equipment failed due to stress and flex over time, rather than speed or poor handling. It became clear that anything as simple as a link breaking had set off the whole scenario, leaving the $300,000 wash machine crippled on the mining site. Mike felt humiliated and disappointed for not being able to continue pursuing his mining objectives. However, when he and his crew inspected the damage, they discovered that it wasn't as disastrous as initially thought, and there may still be an opportunity to turn things around with the correct strategy. In this text, the story revolves around a gold mining operation that involved the salvage and restoration of a wash plant. The wash plant was damaged, but it was still intact enough to provide a possibility for salvage and restoration. Mike's father, Tony Beets, brought his knowledge and practicality to the situation, warning him that without the proper tools and equipment, it could be a complete loss. He recommended hiring loaders to assist in recovering the wash plant, as an expensive error could turn into an irreversible disaster if they tried to relocate it themselves. Mike and his group began working with the loaders, aware that every move required care and accuracy. Tension was evident on the job site as the loaders slowly raised the wash plant, with every hand prepared to make adjustments in case something went wrong. Their ability and courage were put to the test as they attempted to save the wash plant and carry on with their mining operations. The 4-hour task would now take at least twice as long, which infuriated Mike. After the chain snapped, forcing the equipment to tumble, Tony arrived with 2 loaders after the machine had tipped over. They decided to get the factory back on its feet as the top priority, evaluating the damage and determining what needed to be fixed. Under Tony's guidance, Brandon joined Mike in the loaders to turn the plant back upright. They set the plant with their buckets, linking the chain to the proper location, and guiding the plant as it fell into the buckets, slowly tightening the chains and backing up. After the plant was upright, they took off the chains and positioned it in the center of the road, allowing them to bring in extra tools to line it up with the scissor neck. They carefully positioned the plant, gradually pushing it upward until it was in the ideal place. After careful labor, the plant was safely loaded and prepared for transportation.
Lynn, you get on the Lynn's line? Okay. Mike, you get in the loader for a second.
After 8 hours of labor, the workers pulled the plant off the truck one last time, despite the initial hiccups. Shane felt happy and relieved, eager to use the plant, which would be a great benefit. The job was eventually completed, and the difficult journey was over. Tony Beets faces numerous challenges due to the closure of a foreign beets plant, which has led to significant water runoff undermining the access road to the dike, a crucial barrier defending the neighboring creek. Sediment has accumulated beside the road, creating a dense, grit-filled layer of rubbish that highlights the urgency of the cleanup effort. The team aims to restore access by filling low areas with substantial loads of rock to strengthen the dike's weakening structure and prevent further breaches. Cleaching silt becomes an all-consuming effort, as the water board may halt operations if too much silt enters the creek. Preventing contamination of the creek is crucial for advancing their work and preventing regulatory hurdles from environmental violations. The access road is now a muddy mess due to the plant's considerable drainage, making cleanup difficult. The crew must remove silt and sludge layers to rebuild the road, which is turning out to be a difficult undertaking. The watery sludge is pushed back into the nearby settling pond by Mike, who is using a well-coordinated system. At the same time, each rock truck is pulling up to unload loads of overburden. By carrying out this technique, the road is made more durable for the vehicles and prevents further erosion. After the wet mud has been removed, the crew will begin the process of filling the damaged road with many tons of solid material instead. In order to ensure that each layer of material is dumped precisely where it is required, Mike navigates the trucks with great care and provides Megan with directions regarding where she should dump her load. As each dump is completed successfully, the road gradually transforms from a slick and muddy route into a road that is stable and usable. 10 hours of continuous labor resulted in the entire restoration of the access road. This made it possible for Tony's rock trucks to continue transporting supplies and erecting the necessary dikes to protect the site from water invasions. On the other hand, Mike Beets encounters a huge challenge on the rough road leading to Indian River. His 15-ton lorry begins to lose traction and begin to slide to the side. Mike's semi-truck is eventually pulled to the top of Hunker Summit after a challenging journey up the rocky and muddy hill. Evan, another member of the team, assists him in navigating the incline and working together to ascend it before reaching the summit. Gold mining entrepreneur Tony Beets, often known as the King of the Klondike, is keen to capitalize on the high-risk, high-reward nature of gold mining. He is recognized for his determination to capitalize on the Klondike. His daughter Monica manages an operation that recovers gold leftovers left by previous miners by forcing 200 yards per hour of old-timer tailings through the shaker deck. He has been working tirelessly to process 350 yards of pay dirt per hour at the Mega Cut. In addition, he has been working diligently to process pay dirt at the Mega Cut. There is a legendary drum that Tony uses as his secret weapon, and it is an essential part of his strategy. For years, he has been patiently waiting to acquire it, but it involves a big financial investment on his part. Tony, on the other hand, considers the drum to be an essential first step toward becoming more productive. Presently, Mike and the crew are working together to make certain that Tony's investment will yield a profit and that the machine is functioning properly. In the event that all goes according to plan, they would be able to handle 150 yards of material every hour, using only 2 excavators because of the drum. It is Tony's intention to make use of a massive trommel that he purchased for $400,000 and that has not been put to use for nearly 3 decades. Due to the fact that it has its own wheels and engine, the trommel can be moved from one pay zone to another with relative ease. After the pay dirt is fed directly into the drum and processed, the gold-rich material is transferred onto a conveyor, and the garbage tailings are disposed of. Because of this approach, Tony's staff is able to move through the cut with minimal effort and the highest possible level of production. Mike makes his way to Moose Creek in order to retrieve the conveyor, which is the final component that is necessary for the trommel.
So what we'll do
We're gonna
is
throw it on the low board, or we're just gonna drive it out?
2 of them, 250 and then 2600, hook them up, haul them in.
After the system has been secured, it will be possible for the system as a whole to function. Mike's truck, on the other hand, catches fire when he parks it with the idea of taking a boat across the river. This is the moment that disaster strikes. A reminder of the myriad challenges that the Beets family faces in the harsh environment of the Yukon is provided by the abrupt fire that occurred. Paradise Hill is the location where the Beets family gets together for their monthly gold weigh-in. Mike's truck caught fire not too long ago, causing him to lose a significant amount of money. Nonetheless, he maintains a pragmatic outlook and tells himself that it is foolish to become obsessed with the situation. During the aftermath of the fire, he makes light of the situation by joking with the group about putting away bits for use in future repairs. As the attention of the group shifts to the gold weigh-in, Monica, Tony's daughter, discusses the outcomes of her shaker deck. Through its continuous operation, the trommel is able to process 350 yards of pay dirt every hour, resulting in the production of 195.58 ounces of dirt every week. This brings the total to over $370,000, which provides Tony with the assurance that the trommel is functioning at an acceptable level. According to these numbers, the weekly total is 245.42 ounces, which helps Tony stay on track, considering that he needs to consume 220 ounces each week in order to fulfill his objective of consuming 3,000 ounces for the season. Failures such as this can serve as instructive opportunities for individuals who are as dedicated as Mike. Mike will surely remember this important lesson moving ahead, which will allow him to improve both his plan and his ability accordingly. Now, the question that needs to be answered is whether or not this experience will make him more cautious or more driven to pursue great victories.